All right, everyone. We're good? Oh, yeah.
Be quiet.
Good. Before we call the meeting to order, before Mayor Doran does that, we have a special guest tonight as we celebrate Local Government Week. So we're having our very first mayor for the day, Slater Doran. So Slater is a frequent viewer of our meetings. He watches almost all the meetings. And then he'll text me or he'll message me with suggestions and ideas for future meetings. So we always like that, and we always appreciate that, especially with our youth today engaging in Local Government Week. So we have a scroll, and throughout the meeting, Slater will assist me to help keep a nice, calm meeting. All right? I'm not looking at anyone in particular. So we have a nice scroll here for Slater Doran, thanking him, and we'll get a picture. Thank you. So that's pretty good. This doesn't come out very often.
No.
There you go. Okay, good.
Now, Slater, so on behalf of all of us, we'd like you to take this bag of little goodies from Prescott and read the book.
Do a book report for us. All right. Awesome.
This is a point of clarification. You don't get to keep the banner.
Called me order.
Okay, good evening. We'll now call the meeting to order. The time is
6:01. Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda. The motion reads that the agenda for the council meeting of Monday, October 16th, 2023 be approved as presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Young, Councillor McConnell. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
carried.
Thank you. Very good. Item 3 is declaration of interest. Are there any declarations of interest tonight? Seeing none, we're going to move on. So we already did 4.1. So 4.2 is a presentation from Fire Chief Rennie Rayner, along with Fire Prevention Officer Brent Norton and Eastern Region Supervisor Operations from Enbridge Gas, Ian Presley. It's all yours.
Thank you, Your Worship, Doran. Just quickly, we were fortunate enough to work with the group with Enbridge as well as the Public Fire Safety Council, and we had to fill out an application to be possibly picked to receive these smoke and CO alarms. And we're happy to say that we received 144 of those for our municipality. So, and I will let CFP Norton and Ian discuss a little more. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor, Council, Chief, thanks very much for inviting Enbridge in tonight to make this announcement of the CO alarms. This year, Enbridge is donating $250,000 to the Safe Community Project Zero, a program we have proudly supported for 14 years. The special program aims to bring the number of residential fire and carbon monoxide deaths to zero. And since its inception, we have distributed more than 76,000 alarms. Today, Prescott is one of 50 municipalities in Ontario that will receive a combination smoke and CO alarm to deliver to local homes. We have a long history of supporting the communities we serve, and safety is our top priority. Again, I'd like to thank the fire department and the fire marshal's office for giving us a hand distributing these throughout your community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Your Worship, Council, members and guests. 2022, we unfortunately had 133 fire-related deaths in the province of Ontario, which is a lot. The fire code has made it law to have a working smoke alarm on every level, including sleeping areas, and carbon monoxide detectors in where we have fuel fire appliances. Prevention, education, and early detection are the key elements that the fire service uses to educate our residents. These life-saving devices that Enbridge has provided will allow the Prescott Fire Department to distribute throughout the community. We'll be reaching out to local agencies to assist us. Again, Ian, on behalf of our department, thanks for providing us with such a tool that will go a long ways in making our residents fire safe. And just a bit of history, these are a combo you can buy separately, but these ones are so much easier. They have a 10-year life expectancy on them, so it makes it easier for seniors and residents. On Saturday, our fire safety day, we had different seniors come and they were looking to say, how do I replace my detectors? And we were fortunate enough to say, after Monday night, we were going to help you and assist you, thanks to Enbridge. So we will be working throughout the community. So thanks again and much appreciated.
Absolutely. Be okay, your worship, if we were able to get a photo op with some of the smoke alarms?
Absolutely. What do you want us to do? Hold them over here?
Perhaps somewhere nice and just assist everyone together and you guys.
Yep, just right at the front would be great.
All of us?
That way? I think the mayor.
Wherever you.
Oh, no.
That fits. Okay.
Peter, do you want to take a one?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can make it back like that.
Just a comment on the presentation. I think that it's super important that the public educate themselves and be ready with the smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. And people don't realize you actually have to have them, like Mr. Norton said, you have to actually have them in your bedrooms where you sleep, right? And people think, oh, we'll just leave them in the hallway. No, it's in each and every bedroom of the home. And that's really important. Yep,
Thank you,
that
Council.
was great. Thank you.
Excuse me, can I just
Yep.
chip in something? I was talking to his worship beside you there.
Yeah.
I was talking to Renee today out on the street and he was informing me that these aren't just a siren and a burble, they actually talk.
Sure, you work. Sure. Yes. They actually do, they've come a long way in technology. So they'll say, fire or alarm or whatever. So a lot of times what happens is people, believe it or not, get somewhat insensitized to the noise of an alarm. Right? So these actually speak to you and alert you, as well as the fact, like CFPO Norton said, they're 10-year battery, so you don't have to worry about changing them at all. And that way it helps people, especially the target group that we would like to support with. So thank you.
Can you try one of them?
Oh, they're in the package, I can't.
All right, thank you. Item 5 is delegations. There are no delegations this evening. Item 6.1 is approval of council minutes. The motion reads that the council minutes dated October 3rd, 2023 be accepted as presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor Burton, Councilor Campbell, Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Carried.
Thank you. Very good. Item 7 is communications and petitions. There are no items under this category tonight. Item 8 is consent reports. We have the information package. Is there anything anyone would like to see pulled from the information package tonight? Dana Valentine? Yes.
If I could, through your worships to council, there is an item, page 12 of your information package. If I could just draw council's quick attention to that. It is a follow-up report that we received from the Great Waterfront Trail Adventure, which we were very lucky enough to host this year. It's a cycling event that basically travels through Ontario along the Great Waterfront Trail. They pick a different section of the trail each year to travel along, and this year we were lucky enough to be included in that stretch of ride. So it started from Quinte West and went into Quebec this year, and we were able to host one of the morning rest stops, and it was a fantastic event. We had a lot of great feedback, and they provided this after report, and I just wanted to draw council's attention to it. There were a lot of really positive comments about Prescott and our rest stop. It was voted one of the best experiences along the ride. And I also wanted to point you to slide 7 and 9. We had Councillor Mary Campbell participated in the event. She rode for a portion of the ride from Brockville into Prescott. And we've got a great picture of her here with one of the trail organizers. And then I'd also like to thank Mayor Shankar, who attended the event and brought greetings on behalf of council. And then we saw a number of other members of council that came through as well. So thanks to all of you for your support. It was an exciting opportunity to host the event, and we're really hopeful in the future we might be able to host an overnight stop, which that could really lead to some significant benefits for the community. It's there's a lot of economic benefits. There's 140 participants, and cyclists spend a lot of money, despite the fact that they aren't they aren't traveling in vehicles. The ride organizers will transport anything that they purchase along the ride, and they historically do spend quite a bit of money during the event. So, and it was just some interesting highlights from their survey. 73% said that they would revisit a community or area that they cycled through during the ride. And there was 215,000 in total estimated economic benefits for the communities. So that was an extremely positive impact on the municipality. And if we were able to host an overnight stop, it would be probably tenfold the impact that we would have from that. So yeah, just wanted to draw your attention. If you have some time, take a moment to peruse through the full report. Thank you.
Thank you. Who gets those reports? Like would all the cyclists get it?
Yes, so all the cyclists would have received it, and then all of the participating communities would
Okay.
receive a copy of that as well.
Be nice to have a link of that on our website.
We are actually adding that now that we've unveiled it to council. We'll be adding that to the cycling page of our website shortly. And it will be on their website and social media. They communicate it and post about it regularly. So we'll get a lot of traction and exposure out of this and a lot of the aftermarketing.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Any questions for Dana? No? Thanks for mentioning that.
Thank you.
Anything else under consent report? I have a motion that reads that all items listed under the consent report section of the agenda be accepted as presented. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Lockett, Councillor Young. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Good job. Good job. Thank you. Moving on to 9 is committee reports. There are no committee reports this evening. 10 is a mayor's section. I have quite a list. First of all, I'd like to apologize. I went to the Ontario Volunteer Awards and I mentioned that last meeting, but I forgot to mention Virginia Leonard. She was recognized for 16 years at the Historical Society. So for those of you watching at home, congratulations, Virginia Leonard. The last 2 weeks, there was a joint services committee. There was a food bank fundraising. I think our local food bank raised $33,000. So it was really good for them. Family Dollar, there was quite a few of us there. They celebrated their 20th anniversary. I went to Cadets, had a special presentation for Cadet Week, along with Mayor Shaver and Deputy Mayor Adrian Winans. So that was good. A local resident celebrated his 90th birthday, Arnold Gray. Happy birthday. I went to the Prescott Fire Department's open house. That was a lot of fun with Deputy Mayor Kirkby. We got to watch quite a few things that I liked. They brought a car in. They actually extricated the car and broke the windows and took the hood off. It was like kids playing games. It was fun, but it showed you how quickly they can do things in event of an emergency. So well done there, fellas. The following day or the same day, I was at the fire truck pull where there was a mighty mayor group, 8 mayors pulling a fire truck. I think we got a little bit of help, but they raised about $100,000, or they're hoping to raise $100,000 for the YMCA. So that's a great initiative. Our local curling club celebrated their 130th anniversary. There's a few members there, I think, that were, grandfathered into that club. Gary Cook was one of them. So, and then I also attended the Thousand Islanders Chorus. There was their 50th anniversary, and that was for anyone who hasn't seen them. It was really well done, and there was quite a few local Prescottonians in that barbershop. Not a quartet, a chorus. So that's it for me. That was enough for those 2 weeks. 11 is outside boards, committees, and commissions. Yep.
Move on.
Yep.
If you don't mind, on your behalf, through you, I attended the Catholic Women's League 95th anniversary, and a lot of them are from Prescott and Cardinal. So I just wanted to recognize that. Gory was off to the chorus group there. But the interesting note is the one pin they gave out was for 15 years, and the last pin they gave out was for 70 years of service.
Wow. 70 years.
70 years. So just want to make sure that we recognize that and capture that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was going to do that next, but perfect. That's perfect. Okay, item 11 is outside boards, committees, and commissions. We're going to start with Councillor Young for BIA.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Shankar. This week is Small Business Week. So there is going to be a small business situation room tomorrow night from 6 to 8. And there's going to be various experts and loan information and anything pertaining to business. And so we really encourage any business owner to attend. It's at the Lane Chartrand Community Center in the community room. And then there's lots of Halloween preparations. They're having a couple of contests downtown, and I think they're having a haunting at Katarina's. And that's about it.
I had pretty much everything that Councillor Young said, but they also discussed at the BIA streetscaping. And what they have a vision of for possibly looking at in the upcoming year or years for downtown. And they showed some impressive pictures of Smith Falls. And duly noted that it did take about 2 years and business was interrupted for those 2 years. Mm-hmm. But it was pretty impressive, the change. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. Good.
Thank you. And you want to speak to the Board of Health?
I also attended the Board of Health, and the Board of Health is asking that people do not call the health unit for the COVID boosters at participating pharmacies, which I'm happy to say Prescott pharmacies are involved. They will have the COVID vaccine and the flu vaccines the week of this week, the week of the 16th. And that the Board of Health is also working on their strategic plan starting this Thursday and then again in November.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lockett. Anyone else have a meeting they'd like to share? Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to, we have 3 staff reports tonight. First one is item 12.1 is staff report 68-2023, the 2022 election statistics. This report is for information only and from our clerk, Ms. Lindsay Belkamp. Would you like to speak to the report?
Through you, Mayor Shanker and Mayor Doran. This staff report is just a summary of the election statistics from 2022. The information was gathered from our internet and telephone voting service provider, which was IntelliVote Systems Incorporated. In 2022, the voter turnout was 34.9%, which was down from 2018, which was 40.1%. The method most used by electors in the 2022 election was internet voting, followed by paper, and lastly, phone voting. And the highest voter turnout day was voting day, which was October 24th, followed by October 17th, which was the first day for advanced voting. And the voting method during the advanced period could only be electronic. Some of the interesting statistics that were provided were that the internet voting increased from 2018, and the amount of paper ballots cast had decreased from 2016. The majority of internet voting was done by computer, followed up with tablets and cell phones as a mixture. And the highest participating age group was the 80 to 89-year-olds. It's interesting to note that while the use of paper ballots did increase for electors between the age of 60 to 79, internet voting still remained to be the most used method. Under the analysis, some of the feedback that we received from electors and staff included extending the library's hours of operation to remain open during the full time of the election, the location of the election on the second floor of town hall, some difficulties by electors using the main stairs, even though it is an accessible entrance, electors still wanted to use the main stairs and door, and then providing additional aids on hand for staff during ballot counting. During the campaign period, there were some issues expressed that had involved election signage. The sign and display bylaw 16/2016 provides requirements for election signage, and some of these questions and concerns can be addressed at a later date by reviewing and potentially amending that bylaw. As a side note, municipalities are required to provide a dedicated voting station at retirement and nursing homes. On October 24th, our retirement home did have a lockdown situation due to COVID, which meant that staff were unable to go in. So paper ballots were not provided that day, but we had prepared for that. We had tablets on hand and had trained staff in the residence. So they were able to provide electronic voting that day, which may have had an effect on those numbers from paper ballots cast to electronic. So I just wanted to make a point of that. So that's my report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Belkamp. Councilor Burton?
Thank you. Very good report for sure. And surprisingly, the age gap. And I was talking to our clerk earlier, and the question I asked is, how can we get the younger generation to vote? They have just important, I mean, they're raising their families and that's, so they're not thinking about voting and stuff. But I think if we can educate them or make it easier for them to come out and vote, because they do have a say. They do have a say. They're raising their families here. So how can we close that gap, right? And I guess the question is like education or accessibility or making it easy for them. I don't know. But we have to figure something out to close that gap, to have people vote. Right? And it's easy. Pick up the phone. There's your pen. Vote. Then you have a say. You don't vote. Can't really necessarily have a say on things, things that go wrong. So get out there and vote, people.
I don't think we're unique to that.
No.
I mean, it's you see it all the time with almost like election fatigue. I think they were going through that at that point, but I don't know what more we can do to help them. If you're campaigning, maybe you try and help them get to the voting.
With all the options that Lindsay just outlined, it can't be much easier.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
you've covered every base.
But you're right. I mean, they're raising their families, right? So you don't necessarily think of, instead of running them to soccer or running them to baseball or hockey or dance, take that time and vote.
Councillor McConnell?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. It's interesting to note, I was just doing a little audition here. More people in their 90s voted than people in their 20s.
That's
But several terms ago, in an attempt to get more people to vote, that's when we allowed electronic voting. And I don't know that it's really increased the amount of voters. It's just made voting for those that do vote easier, or at least it gives them an option.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Falcon. Item 12.2 is staff report 69-2023, the 2024 Ontario Provincial Police Annual Billing Statement. Again, this report is for information only. From our senior treasurer, Matthew Armstrong.
Thank you very much, and through you, Mr. Mayors. So this evening, we have the 2024 Ontario Provincial Police Annual Billing Statement. They send that to us generally in September, October timeframe, and then it's applicable for the following year. There are two main components to the OPP formula, costing formula. One is just a base amount per household. And for us, that virtually stayed the same between 2023 and 2024. However, the total number of properties increased from 2376 to 2405. So that mostly an increase in residential households was the reason for it. And so that base component resulted in an increase of $4,623. The second component is calls for service. And as you can take a look from the information that was provided by the OPP, that's actually decreased over the last several years, and we're on a 4-year sliding scale. So in years where it continues to go down and you're taking off the higher years that were from 4 and 5 years ago, then it helps us to continue to decrease in that component. Also at the same time, we're having fewer calls for service in comparison to our provincial total share of the pie. So what they do is they take our 4-year average, then add that to the pie of everyone's 4-year average, and we're continuing to shrink in that respect. So we're down to just 0.4% of the total number of calls that the OPP receive in a year. So that component of the formula decreased by $9,450. There's 3 other minor components, which include overtime, prisoner transfer, and other services, and that decreased by $2,100. And then in each year, they do a year-end adjustment for the 2 years previous. And so for the 2022 fiscal year, our year-end adjustment decreased by $11,586. So all put together, the total cost for OPP is decreasing for 2024 by $14,287 or 1.17%. Now, to give you an indication, the $1.2 million that we spend is approximately 10% of our total budget. So the fact that that isn't increasing at the same as consumer price index is good news. And in fact, that it has decreased. And then I also provide some information in the financial implications section. So since 2015, we've decreased the total yearly cost by $564,000. And so in those years from 2016 to 2018, which was an implementation timeframe where a new billing formula was implemented, and then that was phased in over a number of years through 2018, then we were actually able to save over $500,000 a year on policing. We reallocated those savings. Instead of them going straight to the bottom line, they actually are paying for the fire hall debt payment on a yearly basis, as well as supporting the future debt for the recreation complex. So we didn't just let those savings go to waste and that sort of thing. We actually reinvested those in infrastructure projects. So that's a little bit of the information in terms of what we're looking like for 2024 OPP costs, as well as what we've done with the savings over the last several years.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Any questions for Mr. Armstrong? Mayor Campbell?
Mayors. If we were to start talking about perhaps more enforcement in the town for speeding, I've heard a lot of complaints about speeding, for blasting through the crosswalks, would that add a significant cost to the?
No, so really that would be more part base as opposed to a call for service. So a call for service is where somebody calls 911 or the non-emergency number and they need to respond. So if we're asking them to do additional patrols, additional viewing different hotspots where we're finding those types of issues, then no, that generally doesn't increase the total cost. But certainly is something we like to address with the OPP when we hear those types of issues, so they can address it in a manner that suits them and works for the community as well.
Great, thanks.
Councilor Kirkby?
Through you, Mayor Shankar and Mayor Dorian. Just to hit on Mary's point. So Matthew, are you saying that if we request more service in them kind of hotspots, there's no cost associated with that? That's under the agreement that we currently have?
Not when it comes to just regular patrols. If we are phoning in or somebody's phoning in, an incident in progress, so somebody's driving on an ATV and when they need to respond to that sort of thing, then that obviously would go as calls for service. But if we're just asking for additional traffic control, those types of things, then that would generally be in the patrol hours and whatnot. It's just a different, unless we're going to ask for a certain number of dedicated hours, then that might have a slightly different discussion.
Thank you.
Just to follow that up, Councilor Kirkby, when we had our PSB meeting a couple of weeks ago, there's a new inspector. He's from the Pembroke area. And one of almost the first thing that came out of his mouth was, I'm going to increase foot patrol and car patrol in the town. And we were like, whoa, that's great. So I hope he's watching and he's going to keep doing that. So
absolutely.
Anyway, just wanted to let you know. Anyone else? Councilor McConnell?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. Is, through you to Matthew, is there any way, I suspect, I have no way of proving this, but I suspect that 99% of the calls that go to the OPP are not 911 type of emergency calls. They're complaining about a neighbor or somebody's running over their cat or, whatever. I had an incident where one of my neighbors knocked on my door, was trying to get a hold of the OPP, didn't want to call 911 and could not find the number. And to be honest with you, it took me a while to find it for the phone book. Is there anything that we can do to make it easier, more obvious? I don't know.
Certainly, I think there's a couple of things we can do. One, we'll continue sharing the OPP non-emergency information. A few times a year, they issue their non-emergency number to really help delineate between emergency calls and just regular calls. We can also add that information to our website, and I believe it's if it's not there, it will be there this week. And especially when it becomes after hours type situations. So, if I have a water leaking into my basement, who do I call? And from the town, or from if there's an OPP incident, and I need them this evening as opposed to being able to wait till tomorrow, this is the number to call. As opposed to non-emergency or emergency situations where 911 is the most appropriate. But certainly I think we can add a little bit to the website, as well as just more informational on social media, just every couple of months, perhaps each quarter, reminding people of those emergency numbers and non-emergency numbers.
A suggestion, if I may. Sure. We give out the chart that lists the garbage pickups and all that. I know we have that pinned up on the back of the closet because I always forget when they are. Could we possibly put it on there? It's something that goes out to everybody, and I know a lot of people do hang on to it.
Certainly, I think we can try. I think we might be looking at kind of reformatting that a little bit this year, and so possibly we can include that as well. If not, then making better use of our February mail out and July mail out for taxes. That we can include something in there that has, if it's not part of that waste calendar, that it can be a separate thing of do you know and important information you need to know. So.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just wanted to comment on the long list of the types of calls that they make. I was pretty surprised at domestic neighbors, noise complaints, suspicious, there was a whole page of the types of things that they deal with, and it's just eye-opening for me, actually.
Another point from that meeting we had was the inspector said that the city of Hamilton, I think it was city of Hamilton, no longer responds to noise complaints. So, you start thinking, is this the way it's going now? Neighbor disputes, noise complaints, my dog's barking, neighbor's dog. So, and I get it, right? I mean, you look at the cost, I think we pay per call, I forget the exact number, is it $137? Yeah, per call. So whatever it is.
Hundreds and hundreds of calls.
So if I could just follow up on that. So, animal left in vehicle, injured animal, things like that, people call the police for. So I think those are great ways that we can say, this is who you should call. Whether that's SPCA or our own bylaw, things like that. And then depending on time of day, who is the most appropriate to call as well, because I think that changes. I think there's quite a bit of, when you start looking at all of the calls and the types and the severity or lack thereof, that there is an opportunity to perhaps better redirect them to the appropriate people.
Oh, Councilor Connor.
Thank you. Something else I just thought of. Well, I've been in the marina over the last couple of years. I've actually had people approach me wanting to call the police, and they have no phone book. They don't want to call. We have that big thing down there. Could we maybe put something in that as well that would be obvious that this would be directed to?
Absolutely. So I think there's a number of things that we can do on all municipal facilities to say in case of emergency, dial 911. If not in case of emergency, just dial that. We can do that on window decals and whatnot. And, I think that's just an easy way to get that information out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. It's good news that some of our services are going down in price this day and age. Okay, thank you. 12.3 is the staff report 70-2023. Downtown installations, 2023 review and 2024 recommendations. Again, this is for information only, and our ActDev officer, Dana Valentine, will speak to this report.
Thank you. Through you to council. I have the report before you today. Just basically wanted to provide a review of some of the downtown installations that we completed this year. So if you'll recall, council approved a number of new activations downtown, including the Prescott pop-ups, the Riverwalk Promenade, and the downtown street patios, as well as relocating the farmers and crafters market to that Riverwalk Promenade space. So we wanted to conduct a survey to get a sense of the feedback from the public, businesses, and visitors in response to some of these activations that we installed. And we're really encouraged to receive a lot of positive feedback and have based we're bringing forward some potential recommendations that we would like to at least introduce to council ahead of the budget deliberations process, to give you a sense of where economic development and tourism is thinking in relation to some of these improvements that we've installed this year. So they were really successful, a lot of great feedback, as I mentioned, and just I'm going to take you through some of the highlights of the actual survey results. But I will provide just a quick overview of what our outcoming recommendations are as a result of that analysis. So for the Riverwalk Promenade, we would be proposing maintaining that existing space during weekends only through May to October. There was a lot of discussion about the possibility of increasing to 7 days a week. We've received a lot of really positive feedback from visitors to that space saying, you know, this should be a all summer thing. Why would you do it on weekends only? So, you know, hearing that feedback, we thought that would be a great question to include in the survey, just to get a really good sense of what the public opinion was on that. Because, you know, a lot of times it could just be we're getting the odd positive comment and we could be we don't want to base these decisions when it isn't the majority of opinion that we're getting. So it was really encouraging to see, but this is an example of an area that I think we were kind of assuming that there would be a lot more support for the 7 days a week. Over 90% of respondents support it either way. They like the promenade, but they were very much divided on whether they would support it for weekends only or the full 7 days a week through May to October. So we thought based on that, our recommendation would be keep it weekends only. Support enhancements to further activate the space, such as interactive public signage, you know, something that the public could actually leave their mark on. There's been a lot of great examples that different people have thrown out. So we would, you know, present some of those options to council moving forward, you know, making it more of a public art space for people. Adding amenities such as a misting station on those hot summer days, it could make that space a really attractive spot to spend some additional time in. New posts for affixing a promenade banner, adding ambient music. We're looking at adding this actually throughout the downtown. I've visited a lot of smaller communities where throughout the downtown, they must have speakers installed and you can hear just a very nice kind of ambient music, probably coming in through some sort of satellite streaming service, but it just adds a really nice ambiance. So we were thinking maybe that could be something we could look at for the downtown, installing it in the clock tower, the promenade, some of the other, you know, big public spaces, maybe even Riverwalk Park. And then we'd like to purchase removable bollards to use instead of the existing concrete barrier. It would really reduce the time commitment operations has to put into setting this up on every Friday afternoon. They wouldn't have to bring the backhoe down to relocate the concrete barrier. And it was something that staff could then assist a lot more with the setup of. And it would also really enhance the visibility when you're coming down Edward Street. That barrier does provide a bit of a block. So we thought if we could open that up and just exchange that for bollards, metal, you know, very sturdy, that would again prevent, God forbid, any vehicle traffic from going through that space and really again enhance the attractiveness. So those are some of the key recommendations for the Riverwalk Promenade. And then on to the Farmers and Crafters Market. We'd like to retain the existing Saturday operating day and location at the promenade site. We would propose adjusting the time next year. It's currently operating from 9 to 2. We would suggest adjusting it from 10 to 4. We thought that would better align with the downtown businesses when they're open, and just when we're seeing traffic coming through that first hour of the market, you could shoot a cannon through there between 9 to 10 some mornings. So around 10, the traffic really starts to amp up a bit. And then a lot of times as we're closing it, we're encountering people just coming to the market and being disappointed because it's closing and they've missed the opportunity. So we'd suggest some adjustments to the time, new signage, ongoing marketing, and a really positive addition this year was the hiring of a seasonal market clerk position. That was night and day, having someone dedicated to that market who had, you know, a fantastic, well-rounded skill set from marketing, communication, you know, the ability to support vendors and the market itself. It was a great arrangement and the vendors really felt that support, and it also, you know, reduced some of the commitment that the regular economic development and tourism staff have to put into that. So it was a great arrangement and we would suggest continuing with that moving forward. And then on to the downtown street patios, again, very positive responses, encouraging to see. We would suggest maintaining the existing patio at the clock tower site and then testing 2 new locations for the street patios. along King Street, still along King Street between the Edward and George Streets, but looking at some new parking spaces this year. And really that was the original intent, was to every year move them around a little bit and test them out, see what works best, where we're getting the most usage of them. So I would suggest this year, we should definitely put at least one on the south side, because the south side gets the shadier periods of the day. And I found a lot of people, and the umbrellas were installed, which was great. But I think people may have appreciated having one on the south and then another on the north, and you can choose if you want to bake or have some more shade. So I think they were a great addition, really positive feedback that I'll take you through in just a minute. And then we would like to continue coordinating some activations, events, especially at that clock tower patio, because it is a much bigger space where we can bring in things like entertainment to really draw people to the downtown during different periods of the day, evening, weekends. And then we would really like to work with restaurants to create dedicated service patios. This is what really kind of led to us trying to sourcing funding to actually acquire the public ones. Was in our initial, when COVID actually hit, a lot of businesses couldn't allow dine-in traffic. So we approached a few to see if there was any interest in creating outdoor patio spaces. And there was, but the ones that we had at the time just weren't quite in that position to move forward on it. So we thought, what if we introduce these public ones that would be available to anyone and provide a space for people getting takeout meals from the multitude of restaurants in the downtown, with a space to enjoy and eat them and hopefully extend their stay in the downtown. So we went back to restaurants again after the patios were installed, and some of the feedback that we're getting, there's a real renewed interest in seeing, now you can see the visual of how great these things were, from some businesses that would like to explore it. Whether it be having dedicated service space on the sidewalk, and then the municipality provide public walking space out in the parking area and decommission a parking spot, kind of similar to what most of you have probably seen in Brockville. A lot of other surrounding communities will do this, where the restaurant can actually take over that sidewalk and the town still provides for public access around that. And then it provides a dedicated space for some of these businesses, really animates your downtown, makes it a more attractive, appealing space. And we're seeing a lot of renewed interest from restaurants, and some of the new restaurants that have opened lately have expressed interest in that as well. So we would like to approach that and at least explore that with council support. And then on to the pop-ups. This was a really successful endeavor this year. We had each of the pop-up, we have 6 pop-ups fully occupied throughout the summer. It was a great mix of permanent seasonal vendors and some short-term vendors that rotated through. So there was always something new there for people to see and experience, and it really kept it fresh. We brought a lot of events and things in, and it was actually, we had never really considered it, but we realized that the adjacent lands make a fantastic event space, and we were able to attract a lot of great events this year, from Poutine Feast to the Ben Hutton, the Stanley Cup. That was a great event for the pop-ups, to the Canine Water Sports dog jumping tournament. And we've had a lot of interest from new event providers in that space now for 2024 and beyond. So something we really didn't realize until you were down there, but it makes a fantastic space for pop-ups, events. You've got ample parking there. And it was really great to see the traffic moving from the pop-ups into the downtown core. And that was one of the key questions that we asked on the survey as well, to get a sense of whether it encouraged people to really experience the entirety of the downtown and all of our waterfront spaces, which they did. So that was encouraging. And for the pop-ups themselves, we would recommend purchasing 2 additional ones this year, a bit larger in size, 10 by 16 feet, to hopefully accommodate either vendor co-ops and or retailers with larger equipment or products to rent or sell, such as bicycles, paddleboards, kayaks. We're really hoping to get a couple of operators down there that would be renting bikes or non-motorized watercraft. That's really where we're trying to head with these two larger ones, as well as provide vendors with the possibility of a co-op. We had a couple vendors that tested out a pop-up this year, did a co-op between the two of them, worked out great because then they could share the workload and it wasn't someone having to commit 3 days of every weekend to open. They could split that time and then offer a greater variety for consumers as well. So we've had a lot of interest in that, but I think the one downside is the shed was just a little bit too small to really accommodate that. So we thought maybe looking at a couple larger ones, then we could offer that to vendors. And then we just like to look at some additional upgrades, such as some more pedestrian cycling amenities, bike racks, umbrellas, some more waste receptacles, portable toilets. We could definitely use another toilet or two down there next year. The one that we had was certainly well used. Security cameras and upgrades to Wi-Fi services, as well as site lighting. Those are some areas that we'd really like to explore some upgrades in next year. And then improving the site accessibility itself, maybe look at adding a bit of a pea gravel trail that would kind of meander along the pop-ups just to make them a little bit more accessible. And the ground is a little bit, it can be pretty uneven there. So maybe bringing some fill in just to kind of level the ground, hopefully in partnership with operations. And then again, carry on with hosting additional third-party events on neighboring lands, more interactive experiences, adjusting operating hours. We thought that some adjustments could be made to the operating hours based on vendor feedback. And then retaining a seasonal pop-ups ambassador position on a reduced schedule. So kind of similar to the market clerk that we had a part-time pop-ups clerk that was there and engaged in a lot of on-site marketing and vendor supports. And it worked out really well, and it gave us the ability to be able to move between the multiple activations that we had on the go during the weekend. So I think it worked out quite well. And financial implications would be brought forth as part of the budget deliberation process. This is really just to kind of introduce you to where we're headed. And then over to the actual survey results, I'll take you through some of the highlights. So we had 268 responses to the survey. It was promoted through our e-newsletter, posted to social media, posted to our website, and it was boosted. There was some advertising on social media done as well, and then just sent out via email to just a number of our networks. So we really tried to get well-rounded feedback from the residents, businesses, and visitors to the community. And I think we certainly achieved that. And as far as the first page gives you a breakdown of the demographics. So 75% identified as residents, 16% as visitors, and 13% as business owners. And just for a point of clarification, it is possible that a person could identify as a resident and a business owner. So those numbers will not add up to 100% in case you are a math and have been crunching numbers. And then there's just some highlights of some of the feedback we received from the visitors and the type of businesses that responded. Page 2 takes us to the pop-ups, and I forgot to click. Thank you, Lindsay. These are the overall results. 99% were aware, 85% visited, and 62% would like to see them expand. And then on the bottom there, you'll see some of the top vendor draws, event draws, and how people heard about the operation. And then we have 98% were aware of the pop-ups, which was a really healthy number, which was great. 66% would like to see them expand. That's from visitors. And from businesses, 100% were aware of the pop-ups. 76 would like to see them expand. 50% were expand, or 26% remain the same size. And for vendor survey highlights, 91% felt the pop-up foot traffic helped create sales opportunities. 82% said participation improved their business, and 100% would like to see it expand. And then to the Riverwalk Promenade, really strong numbers as far as awareness goes. 81% believe the promenade improves the connection between the downtown and waterfront. We were really encouraged to see that. That was certainly one of the goals in creating that space. 83% felt it was visually appealing, clean and well-maintained, identifiable as a public space. And just a bit of a testimonial here, great improvements. Prescott would drive on the weekends to enjoy the events and waterfront, beautiful. And that was from a visitor located within 15 to 40 kilometers. And installations like the Riverwalk Promenade make Prescott a more appealing place to visit. 89% strongly agreed with that. So I'm not taking you through every aspect of the slide, just kind of some highlights here and there. The Riverwalk Promenade, 59% thought that it made downtown Prescott a more appealing place to do business. This is from business responses specifically. 44% of customers mentioned the promenade, which is very significant when you think about that. 44% of customers through businesses indicated the promenade in their conversations. And the Riverwalk Promenade we really wanted to determine whether this is creating any sort of inconvenience for the business community. So we asked that question specifically. Was it an inconvenience to customers trying to access my business? 19% said yes, 81% said no. Riverwalk Promenade was an inconvenience to my business operations. 13% said yes, 87% said no. So again, very positive numbers. And then for the actual expansion in the future, we had, as you'll see here, very strong numbers for wanting to see it carry on and really evenly split between whether they wanted to see it all season or weekends only. So that was where we really took a pause and started to wonder if for next year, if the best approach would be to carry on with weekends only, because we want this to be a public space that people like and enjoy. And we certainly don't want it to be an inconvenience to anyone, whether you be a resident, visitor, or a business. It's meant to support the business, not detract from it. And then the farmers market, some highlights here. 64% of respondents visited the market. From the vendor survey, all very positive. 100% plan to return, 100% preferred the market to the previous location. And from the public, 77% agreed it was easy to find, 73% say it's convenient to visit, and 49% felt it featured a well-rounded selection of vendors. So again, we've got some work to continue to do there. It's been certainly something that started from nothing, and in the past 3 years, it's grown into a very viable operation. So I think I would say take that and it all depends on when you visit too. Not every Saturday has all 15 vendors there. So it could well be there may have been some of those slower days when people visited. But I think all in all, it is certainly growing, and the positive feedback that we've heard this year has been tenfold above and beyond years past. There seems to be a real positive energy that we're getting from the community and everyone that we've talked to, from businesses to residents to visitors. Really, really exciting, because a lot of times people don't take the time to make those positive comments, and we got a lot of that this year. The street patios, this was again very positive. Strong percentage of the public felt they were a good addition to the downtown. 86% thought that they would make them more likely to spend additional time in the downtown. 84% thought they improved the appearance. The business responses was a little bit more even. 60% felt they were a good addition. Some of the questions weren't necessarily relevant to businesses, like being more likely to get takeout. 54% felt they improved the appearance of the downtown, and 60% thought they created a more inviting space. And we, again, wanted to very specifically ask the question about location concerns. We heard some feedback, especially early on this summer, that there were some concerns about the location choices for those street patios. So we asked specifically, do you have concerns about the location of one or more of the patios? From the public, 23% said yes, 77% said no. From businesses, 52% said yes, 48% said no. So that was relatively even split, which again is what prompted us to look at new locations. And that really was the original intent. They were never meant to be in those parking spaces every year. the plan is to continue moving them around? And then would you be interested in seeing more street patios, installed in 2024? From the public side, 29% said yes, 37% said no, 34% were maybe. From the businesses, 24% were yes, 30% were no, 45% were maybe. So I think the maybes are more very much based on location. People were probably, would have been more likely to respond if there had been specifics on locations. So that's something that we'll certainly note for future surveys. And then the observance of usage was really interesting too. The report of self-usage and then the observed usage. They were observed to be used a lot, and that is, again, very encouraging. Most popular times were the weekends, weekend afternoons, weekend lunch, and then weekday lunch. And then this is just a highlight of some of the recommendations that I took you through earlier. And I'm happy to answer any questions. There's a lot more information in that that I didn't speak to, so I'm happy to answer follow-up questions too after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. That was a great report. Does anyone have questions for Ms. Valentine? Councilor Burton?
Thank you. I just want to say congratulations to you and your staff and all of our staff. You guys did an amazing job this year, and the survey shows. The survey shows how, I've said it before and I'll say it again, we got a lot going on in Prescott. We have a lot going on, and it's, our staff is amazing, and you guys do above and beyond getting all the events and the pop-ups. And one of my first terms, the farmers market was not doing well at all. And I kept saying, can we help them? Can we do something? And now we have over 15 vendors. Amazing. Yeah. And not just the same vendors. You see different vendors, like all depends. I was there quite often on a Saturday, and there was a metal guy one day. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And we still have the same the same vendors, but it's nice to see that people want to come and participate in our farmers and crafters market. So that's great. And at the pop-ups as well, there was different people using the pop-ups at different times, and yeah, it was very unique, and just congratulations and well done.
Thank you, Councilor Burton. Anyone else? Councilor Locke?
Hi, Dana, through you. I think we have a bit of a unique problem because of all the new businesses that have opened. We now have a parking situation. And so I'm all in favor of new locations for the street patios, but I think from what I hear from people, they would really like something like that near the water. And so I'm not sure where or if any place you're considering, but I know that they prefer to sit water instead of on concrete street. So that's just something I pass on from people that have talked to me about it. So, yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. You gonna go?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Schenker. Again, it was a very detailed report. I had a couple questions. I know this will come back for further discussion, so I'm not gonna bombard you tonight with a bunch, but the 268 people that responded, how long did we run the survey for? Just as a question on.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. And this, it was social media, Dana. Did we publish it anywhere else, like any other? Did we send it out in any kind of letter form or hang up in businesses or anywhere? Did you physically go to businesses and say, hey, we have the survey out?
No, we sent it by email to every.
Oh, so, okay, perfect. Yeah. So every business in town?
Yeah.
Got it. Every business in town or just the downtown?
Every business in town.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all I have for now.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Dana. Good job. All right. Item 13 is resolutions. There are no resolutions tonight. 14 is bylaws. There are no bylaws this evening. 15 is new business. 15.1, the corporation of the town of Grimsby establishing a guaranteed livable income. This was brought forward by Councillor Young. Do you still want to go through with that today?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Tanya.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar, Mayor Doran. Just wondering, I don't have to read the whole?
No.
Okay, good. And please bear with me, I'm on cold medicine tonight, so. So the first part of the resolution talks about the guaranteed livable income. It actually outlines obstacles that Grimsby themselves are facing, and I think those obstacles are pretty much faced by all of our municipalities currently. But the part of the resolution that really got my attention was the last part. Be it further resolved, the corporation of the town of Grimsby, through its finance and human resources departments, undertake a comprehensive assessment to explore the feasibility and implementation of a living wage policy for all of the town of Grimsby employees, with the aim of ensuring that all municipal workers receive fair compensation that aligns with the principles of a living wage, and that staff be directed to explore becoming a living wage employer. So in Ontario, there is such a thing as being certified as a living wage employer. First of all, I was just going to keep it short, but what is a living wage? So the hourly wage a worker needs to earn to cover their basic expenses and participate in their community. And why? Why should we be supporters of that? Because many people, as outlined in the resolution, are facing all kinds of hardships now, choices about, how many groceries should we buy? Where should we buy our groceries? Should we put our kids in things? And a whole bunch of choices like that. And then the last thing is, what would the benefits be to, say, for instance, the town of Prescott to become a certified living wage employer? The benefits of better mental and physical health. Employers experience a decrease in employee absenteeism, increased productivity, and savings on rehiring and retraining. And you can also use it as a recruitment strategy. And for the town of Prescott, for us as being leaders in the community, what a great opportunity for us to become certified. I took a quick look at the living wage for Prescott area. It was suggested to be $19.05, but like Grimsby, I'd love to see us have staff look into seeing what it takes to become certified to be a living wage employer.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Young. Is that something we can do, Matthew?
Certainly, we'd be happy to take a look at that and report back to council.
Thank you. Any questions for Matthew or Councillor Young? Oh, Councillor McConnell?
Just one, Shankar. I read through this thing and I believe in people having a living wage, because there's a lot of people, especially in the cities these days, where you cannot rent an apartment. One person's income, you're on the street, and there's no place that you can rent unless you already have some kind of low rental location. But there's one thing that concerns me here, and I've circled it. And it says, therefore, let it be resolved that the corporation of the town of Grimsby circulate correspondence to Ontario municipalities, encouraging them not only to collect data of their housing and poverty statistics, but also to examine their pending economic vulnerability as a result. And it's a good idea, but my only concern here is, do we have the staff time to undertake something like that? Or is it something we already have that staff can put their fingers on? I know you have your magic fingers there on the computer, and as does our ladies behind us and Dana over there, but is this something we have, or is this something that's going to take some time to develop? And you're learned enough as it is.
So if I may, through you, Mr. Mayors, I think it's definitely something that we can pose to the United Counties as they focus on homelessness, as well as those that are at risk of becoming homeless. they would have much better information as well as an understanding of what that group looks like and how vulnerable they are to changes in cost of living and things like that. So certainly we'd be happy to reach out to them. I believe I have seen some statistics along those lines in terms of vulnerability as well as the effects of cost increases on those that are borderline currently. So certainly we'd be happy to report back on that as well.
Very good, thank you.
Well, we can have.
Yep. All right, thank you, Councillor Young. 16, there's no notices of motions. 17, we have 3 items under Mayor's proclamation this evening. So we're going to start with 17.1 is Ontario Libraries Week. Ontario Public Libraries Week. Whereas October is Public Libraries Week from the 16th to the 20th, and whereas this year's theme is Libraries for Life. And whereas Ontario Public Libraries Week is a wonderful time to celebrate all things library and appreciate the way libraries have adapted and grown to what the community needs. And whereas libraries and those that work within are the originals, search technology, and provide access to the information and resources, support literacy and education, promote lifelong learning, and serve as a community gathering space. And whereas libraries and those that work in them help people find homes, apply for grants, make appointments, and connect with long-lost friends and families. And whereas library programs that introduce our youth to its services are important, and whereas the Prescott Public Library offers early on story time Friday mornings, along with songs, activities, and crafts.
Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Prescott does hereby proclaim the week of October 16th to the 20th, 2023 as Ontario Libraries Week in the town of Prescott, dated this 16th day of October 2023.
Thank you. Very good. 2 more. October 15th to 21st, 2023, Local Government Week. Whereas the week of October 15th to 21, 2023 will be celebrated in Ontario as Local Government Week, and whereas Local Government Week intends to increase public awareness of the important roles local governments play in our communities, and whereas the municipal order of government performs functions that significantly impact the day-to-day life of citizens throughout the world, and whereas the Ontario Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, along with organizations such as the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, or AMO, acknowledge and celebrate the significant role that municipal governments play in helping to define the character, priorities, physical makeup, and quality of life of communities across Ontario.
Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Prescott does hereby proclaim the week of October 15th to the 21st, 2023 as Local Government Week in the town of Prescott, dated this 16th day of October 2023.
Very good. Last is October 17, 2023 is Annual Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day. Whereas years of research confirms the benefits of high-quality early learning and childcare for young children's intellectual, emotional, social, and physical development and later life outcomes. And whereas childcare promotes the well-being of children and responds to the needs of families and the broader community by supporting quality of life so that citizens can fully participate in and contribute to the economic and social life of their community. And whereas trained and knowledgeable registered early childhood educators and the childcare staff are the key to quality in early learning and childcare programs. And whereas registered early childhood educators and childcare workers will be vital to the success of the Canada-wide early learning and childcare system.
Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Prescott does hereby proclaim October 17th, 2023 as the 23rd annual Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day in recognition of the education dedicated and commitment of childcare workers to children, their families, and quality of life of the community, dated this 16th day of October 2023.
Very good. Thank you. All right, 18 is media questions. Are there any questions, Veronica?
Just wanted to double check, what was the dates you said for the childcare for the last one?
October 17th.
17th, okay. And could I have the two of you following the meeting just for a quick interview?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay with you? Yep. Better check, okay? There's no closed session this evening, therefore there's no rise and report. So item 21 is the confirming bylaw. The motion reads that bylaw 43-2023 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on October 16th, 2023, be read and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed by the seal of the corporation. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Burton, Councillor Lockett, all in favor?
Carried.
Thank you. All right, before we go to Councillor Kirkby's favorite part of the meeting, Mayor Doran has a quick announcement.
Yes, so I want to thank the town of Prescott for being behind me during this tough time. And I would like to present this to Mayor Schenker on behalf of the Doran family.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so item 22 is adjournment, that the meeting be adjourned to Monday, November 6, 2023 at 6 p.m. Moved by Councillor Kirkby, seconded by Councillor Burton. All in favor?
Carried.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you November 6th.
See you guys later.
Good job.